Identification of children and youths experiencing homelessness. Recognizing common signs of homelessness. In Washington state, more than 30,000 school-age children and youth were reported as homeless during the 2013-2014 school year. The federal McKinney-Vento Act requires school districts to identify, enroll, and serve homeless students, and the timely and accurate active identification of homeless students is the first step in assisting these children and youths towards school success. In an effort to assist in the identification of students experiencing homelessness, this short presentation will outline some of the common signs of homelessness, as well as provide strategies and best practices for school districts as they work to identify and serve students impacted by homelessness. The definition of homeless is found in Section 725 of the Federal McKinney-Vento Act and means children and youth who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence, including children and youth who are doubled up due to loss of housing, economic hardship, or a similar reason, who are living in hotels or motels, trailer parks, campgrounds, shelters, are abandoned in hospitals, or are awaiting foster care. Children and youth who live in a public place not intended as a sleeping accommodation for human beings, children and youth living in cars, parks, public spaces, abandoned buildings, substandard housing, bus or train stations, or are migratory and qualify because they live in one of the situations described previously. As you can see, the McKinney-Vento definition of homeless is quite broad. The federal McKinney-Vento Act requires every school district to designate a school district employee who will serve as the district's homeless education liaison. The liaison is responsible for carrying out the requirements described in Section 722 of the McKinney-Vento Act. As you can see, the very first duty of the liaison is to ensure that all children and youths that meet the McKinney-Vento definition of homeless are identified for service. The following slides provide just a few ideas, strategies, and best practices to assist school districts in setting up effective systems by which they can actively identify children and youth who may be experiencing homelessness. The distribution of a housing questionnaire at least one time per year is considered a best practice and indeed has proven to be one of the most effective ways of identifying youngsters who are experiencing homelessness and therefore qualify for services under the McKinney-Vento Act. The housing questionnaire should be distributed to every family in the district at least one time per year, as well as upon the enrollment of new students. A logical time to send out the annual housing questionnaire would be at the beginning of the school year, when all other beginning of the year paperwork is provided to families. Distributing this annual housing survey to every family, and not just the families who may be suspected of being homeless, is an effective method of identifying youngsters whose housing may have changed over the course of the year. It should be noted that the housing questionnaire should be labeled as just that, a housing questionnaire. Districts that distribute the form using the title Residency Questionnaire may inadvertently create barriers to some families, as the term residency is often associated with legal or illegal immigration status and should therefore be avoided. Early identification of students who are experiencing homelessness will help provide a strong and stable start to the academic year. Another best practice is to appoint building level liaisons. Additional eyes and ears at the building level, where the staff are most likely to have a connection with the students and families, is an effective way to keep track of students' housing situations and identify students immediately if they need assistance. Building liaisons can provide much needed support to the district homeless liaison. School districts should also work to provide training to the designated liaison as well as other school district staff to raise awareness and share critical resources and information regarding the education of children and youth experiencing homelessness. Posting the educational rights of homeless students is a requirement under the McKinney-Vento Act and is also an easy way for districts to get the word out to families regarding their rights should they become homeless. Updating school websites and making flyers and brochures readily available in all school buildings is another effective way of informing families and unaccompanied youth of their rights under the McKinney-Vento Act. Districts should remember that the identification of children and youths experiencing homelessness should be an active process rather than passive. Districts should not rely solely on self-disclosure or wait for families or youth to come to them to find help. Many people are uncomfortable in sharing information about their housing status due to the stigma attached to homelessness. A well-organized, active system for outreach and identification is a best practice. District identification efforts must include children and youth who are living with their families, as well as those who are unaccompanied youth on their own, and don't forget preschoolers and other early learners, such as children participating in IDEA Part C programs, Head Start, and ECAP. Common signs of homelessness. As we discuss some of the common signs of homelessness, it should be noted that every student and every situation is different. A child experiencing homelessness may not be easily identified, and their disrupted housing situation may not be evident in their appearance, behavior, or school performance. Homelessness is often hidden by families, children, and youth. The following slides simply provide general indicators to watch for in the school and classroom. The following information regarding the common signs of homelessness has been adapted from the Illinois and Pennsylvania Departments of Education and the National Center for Homeless Education, which serves as the U.S. Department of Education's Technical Assistance Center for Homeless Education. Lack of continuity in education. A student may have attended many different schools, lack school records, be unable to cover school-related fees, have gaps in skill development, have poor organizational skills, or have a mistaken diagnosis of their abilities. Poor health and nutrition. Students may lack immunizations, immunization records, or other health-related records. They may have unmet medical and dental needs, experience respiratory difficulties or illnesses, such as asthma, have skin rashes, experience chronic hunger, which is often characterized by food insecurity, or show symptoms of fatigue. Attendance problems. Students may be absent or tardy often. They may be hesitant or unable to participate in after-school or co-curricular activities. They may not participate in field trips, and the district may have a difficult time in contacting their parents, often due to changes in address and telephone numbers. Poor hygiene. Students experiencing homelessness may not be able to consistently bathe or shower. Their clothing may be worn many days in a row, and the family may not have access to necessary laundry or showering facilities. Lack of personal space after school. Students may exhibit a lack of preparation in their schoolwork or may not turn in homework. Special projects, particularly projects which require the purchase of supplies or may require a dedicated space for the child to work on the project, may not be completed. Students may lack school supplies or be concerned about the safety of their school supplies and personal belongings while at school. Social and behavioral concerns. Students may exhibit changes in their behavior. They may be inattentive, have difficulty socializing or trusting people, act older than they are, or be withdrawn. They may have low self-esteem, show aggression or anxiousness, have a fear of abandonment, or exhibit clinging behavior. Students may be overprotective or defensive about their parents, and may make references to events or situations such as needing to move personal items into a storage unit, or taking a family pet to the local shelter when they're no longer able to care for it properly. Reaction of parent, guardian, or child. School staff may hear statements such as, "We've been moving around a lot," "We're going through a rough time," or "We're staying with relatives until we get settled." Individuals may exhibit anger or embarrassment when asked about their address or housing status. School districts are required to identify children and youth experiencing homelessness, including unaccompanied youth and preschool-aged youth, and immediately enroll them and provide the necessary services and supports needed for school success. Awareness is a positive first step in the identification process. This presentation has provided general information related to the identification of homeless students. You are encouraged to seek out additional information about ways to support the needs of children and youth experiencing homelessness in your district. For more information, you may wish to visit the following websites: the National Association for the Education of Homeless Children and Youth, the National Center for Homeless Education, the Washington State Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, or you may wish to seek out other resources related to the McKinney-Vento Act and the education of homeless children and youth. Thank you.